let's create an RFI. In many cases, the superintendent will create an RFI as a draft and assign it to you for review. At that point, you'll want to assign it to the architect or other appropriate party. This is typical. If you give your superintendent standard access to the tool, they will only be able to assign an RFI to an admin user, which will most likely be you. In that case, you'll want to look for open or draft RFIs that are assigned to you. In this case, the superintendent has created a draft RFI asking for clarification on the level of finish. To review and reassign the RFI, simply click the Edit button. Change the assignee to the appropriate person, in this case, Archie the architect. Unmark the checkbox next to draft, and reiterate the question if needed. You might also want to change the due date. Once everything is in order, save your changes, which will mark the RFI as open. This will send Archie, the architect, a notification that the RFI is in his court. The ball in court field is important. Anytime you see a field for ball in court, it means that person is in charge of the next action of the item. You'll see this field on submittals, RFIs, in the punch list tool, and more in Procore. Sometimes, though, you may need to log your own RFIs. Let's go through creating an RFI from scratch. For example, maybe you've noticed that there is no group assigned to some doors in the spec book. Let's click the Create button. The RFI number will automatically be assigned the next number in the sequence of the RFIs in your account. Let's give the RFI a good descriptive title and assign the RFI to the applicable party. Since the architect will be the one to answer the question, let's assign it to Archie. Next, let's put the due date down as a week from now. The responsible contractor is the contractor in charge of the work in question. In this case, it's Bamboo Door Company. And if you receive the question from someone specific, you'll enter it here. This person will not be sent email notifications about the RFI, however. The distribution field is for people who should be notified about the RFI, but they don't necessarily fall into the assignee category. These people will receive emails whenever the RFI is answered or the status changed. For this reason, we recommend that you do not include your responsible contractor here. As a best practice, an official response should be identified prior to it being sent to the responsible contractor. Although we can't associate this RFI with more than one location, let's add room 135 to the RFI. The drawing number field is a free-form field where you can manually enter the drawing that applies to the RFI. I recommend entering the number in here, but only as a reference when you go to link the RFI to a drawing. I'll show you that later. The next two fields will allow you to enter the spec section and cost code associated with the RFI. The schedule and cost impact fields allow you to select whether this issue might affect time or cost on the project. You can select yes, yes unknown, no, to be determined, or not applicable. If you select yes on either of these, you will be given an extra field to type in the delay time or the cost impact. In our case, there shouldn't be a cost or schedule impact, so we're going to say no. The reference field is purely for searching purposes. These are added keywords you can associate with this RFI that you think people might search for when looking for this item. The only one I can think of are door, 135A, and 235A. And all of those are searchable in the title of the RFI. So I'm going to leave this blank. If you would like to leave this RFI as private, so it's only referenceable by the assignee, RFI admins, and those people on the distribution list, go ahead and leave this checked. Otherwise, if you want to expose it to everyone who has access to the RFI tool, you can uncheck it. Here are the custom fields you can add in. Of course, if you enter another field name, it will show up in the place of the placeholders here. The main takeaway is that these custom fields will always appear at the bottom of the form. Since we enabled overdue notifications in the configure page, the assignee will receive overdue notifications every day when an RFI is overdue. Now, we're going to add in the question. For this particular question, no attachment is needed. The question is precise and both spec and drawing can be linked. At this point, we can click Create. The assignee will now get an action-required email where he or she can respond to the RFI right from the email. Distribution members will also get an RFI created email. The next steps are optional, but they may help your team answer the RFI better. In the Related Items subtab, you can add related items to this RFI. For example, you might want to add the other location here. The Email subtab shows you any emails sent regarding this RFI. For example, you may want to send your assistant project manager a one-time reference to this RFI instead of including them in the distribution list, where they would get a notification every time something has changed. The Change History subtab records every action taken on this RFI, so you can see what happened, when, and by whom. Once everything has been filled out here, the last thing you might want to do is add the RFI to the applicable drawing in the Drawings tool. I'll do this on my end and then come back so you can see the drawing link. Once you do that, you'll see that there is now a link to the drawing in the RFI's View page. Okay, I think the RFI is ready to go now. Your only job now is to track the status of the RFI and relay the official response to the subcontractor or vendor when it's selected. As the creator of the RFI, you'll get update emails so you can track when official responses are given and when the RFI is closed out. Thanks for watching.